You're listening to the Conscious Briefing Show podcast on Anchor FM.
Alrighty. Welcome back to another edition of the Conscious Briefing podcast. My name is Jason Bett and I will be your host for this evening's podcast. It is now just gone after 7 o'clock on the 17th of May 2020. Day 53 or day 54 of the lockdown, I'm not quite sure. In the beginning I was writing on my Facebook page, day 1 a sentence, day 2, day 3 a sentence. I've lost all track in it, and I think because, and I explained it in my video that I made recently last week, that I never had a guest on simply because I was beginning to become negative. And this is the thing, I cannot let this pandemic get me down. I cannot be negative. I need to remain focused, and I need to remain positive, because the moment you become negative, this is it. They've got you. The people out there that is implementing this little regulations. Do not do this and don't do that, and do not walk on the beach. I mean, that what happened in Belita, and the incident where the man got arrested because he was on the beach, and then the police wanted to arrest. I'm going to speak about it in the podcast. It's absolutely absurd, guys. It's absolutely madness, and it makes my blood boil. But also in the podcast, I'm going to speak a little bit about George Orwell to Scott. And, you know, for those out there that know, and I think I've mentioned in my previous 2 podcasts about George Orwell, who wrote 1984. You're at home, you're watching TV all day, and you're listening to what everybody has been saying on the SABC and that. And to me, I don't watch that anymore. I know my wife is still sitting at home, and my mother-in-law, and they are watching it, and I've told them, keep on, don't stop listening to that hogwash what you're listening to on the news and that, because they're brainwashing you, and they are. And there's a lot of us out there that will agree. What we see on the news is brainwash information. Oh, come on, really? I'm not up to it. I think that can make another debate. But before we get into the podcast, there's just something I want to read to you. It's a long, I don't know who wrote it, but it makes sense. And this is something that should be taken into consideration. It's happening. But yeah, I think I'm not going to read all of it. I think I should make a video on it, because it's true what this person wrote here. And it goes like this. Silence is consent. I do not consent to the tracking and tracing of South African citizens, or any citizens for that matter. And if we can track law-abiding citizens, then why haven't we made pedophiles and dangerous criminals a priority? I do not consent to a party or leader who makes decisions without the democratic process of a vote in parliament. I do not consent to being told that I am not taking a virus seriously simply because I question and challenge arbitrary laws. I do not consent to limiting free speech under the guise of protecting South Africans from the spread of misinformation. And then my last paragraph, I do not consent to the extreme censorship that is taking place on social media platforms towards doctors, scientists, political scientists, and activists. This is book burning. Very true. And I think a lot of us out there can subscribe to what this person wrote there. It makes 100% sense. We've just become at this point where a lot of us are saying, yay, the president is a great man and he's doing this to save our lives, which is fair, okay? I won't take that away. Okay, I'm not that dumb, okay? And I spoke about it in the podcast with Scott. Look at countries like Sweden. Sweden has got their death rates in that, but they are considering it as a normal flu-like virus. And I'm not going to say too much. You can do your own research on what's actually happening in Sweden, and then compare apple. and we speak about the models, the type of models that countries are enforcing, and what type of models is South Africa enforcing for this pandemic. But enough of that. Let me get into the podcast so that you can actually see and get a glimpse on what me and Scott were talking about. Okay, I'll see you back in a bit. Scott, are you there, my man?
How's it, Jason? Yeah, I'm here.
Man. Yeah, welcome to my show, man. The Conscious Debriefing. This is now the second time I've got you on my show.
Yes, I believe I was on your show a while back.
It was last year, I think in June, July. It was with Christoph, your brother, and Impiaki, if I remember correctly. Eh?
Yeah. It was a group of us. Yeah. So that was when I was I still am, but that was when I was exceptionally reactionary and I was starting to tell that, like, tune the guys and stuff. But yeah,
tune the guys and
yeah. I've chilled out now since I've become a father. You know, I
was gonna say, your congratulations, bro. Being a father, I mean, thanks, I'm a father of two myself, but my daughter's like 25 now, and I've got 2 grandchildren myself. So,
wow,
I know what it's about, bro.
Great, it's awesome.
Let's give the listeners and the viewers out there a quick intro. Who you are?
Yeah, so I'm just basically a guy, a concerned citizen, in a nutshell. Myself and my brother Russell and mate of mine Dylan, who's also been on your show as well.
That's right. He's also
we run a very small YouTube channel and podcast called Reactionary Opinions, where we dissect various ideas with regards to we're specifically a Christian YouTube channel.
Correct,
where we talk about various ideas of various theological ideas and dissect what is going on in the world today through the lens of Christianity, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, after all, people, Christianity is slipping away, and I think me and you have had numerous counts at some discussions about Christianity. How people just it's slipping through the fingers, and it's scary, bro. And I think that's your mission. Your mission is to try and bring that Christianity back into society, but on a different approach, of course.
Well, I think what we're trying to do essentially is we're trying to make Christians based again. You know, because you know, in the Christian community these days, there's a lot of people tend to be drawn towards a faith that is focused around sort of being a huggable, likable Christian kind of thing, you know. Whereas myself, Dylan, and Russell, we believe in a faith of victory and a faith of power and a faith of strength and all these things that would then build a strong community through that. So that's just a basic of what it is about and stuff. Yeah.
No, of course, yes. Before we get into the podcast, have you heard that song? I wanted to bring up about that song called Zol.
And the reason are health related. But also when people zol, they put saliva with the paper and then they share that zol. It means they are also share. If when people zol, they put
saliva on the paper. Max, when people make zol, yeah, that's a classic song. Eh? How many views? I don't know how many views it got, but I know that she wants to see Max, the DJ. She wants to have a word with him.
Yeah, she's probably going to have him suicided, I guess. I don't know.
Or she's going to ask for royalty fees.
Yeah, probably, yeah. That's probably what it is. I mean, we know Nkosi Dlamini Zuma's got her fingers in all the dirty pies and stuff.
Of course, so yes.
She probably wants a piece of... She probably wants a piece of Max's success, yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And it is, and it's a flipping awesome song. That deep house tune, eh? I'm a lover of house music myself, and I got to admit it is a flipping classic tune, eh?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, dude, let's get into it. While we still, it seems like, that's all we seem to be talking about is this COVID-19. And I suppose we shouldn't get tired of it and get hurtful of it because, after all, it's bringing our economy down heavier. So my first question is, what models do you think SA government is using to curb this pandemic? If they are, and what models are they following?
Yeah, look, I the whole thing, the whole scenario. So in the UK, you had that Professor Neil Ferguson, who released his models, and there's articles and stuff coming out now. He's basically resigned now, as far as I know, because he went to go and sleep with his girlfriend and stuff during lockdown. And anyway, but they basically, people are looking at his models now and they're realizing, hang on, this guy's models were completely wrong, because he predicted 500,000 people were going to die in the UK alone, and it was just going to be crazy, and people would be just like falling dead all over the place. And I mean, this is the same guy that I believe in 2008, I believe was the SARS virus breakdown, as far as I know. And this is the guy that also, I mean, his models and his predictions back then were horribly wrong. This is the guy who's pretty much every time he's made a prediction or made a model, it's been horribly wrong. But back to South Africa, honestly, Jason, I don't think there are any models that the government used for the lockdown. I think that our government saw the rest of the world doing lockdown.
I said the same.
They were like, well, let's just jump on the bandwagon and do it ourselves. We can't let everyone do it, and we don't do it. So the ANC government is what myself and Dylan call Little Jimmy. Okay, and Little Jimmy is that kid in school who never got any attention and would do anything to get attention. So he'd be the one like eating a worm or something so that he could get attention, and that's the ANC. Ew, little Johnny, don't eat that worm. I'm going to eat the worm.
Exactly. With you.
To try and get attention and stuff. So that's the ANC in a nutshell. So everything the world does, everything the World Health Organization does, everything the United Nations does, every sort of globalist institution, whatever they do, the ANC does. So they just like they don't have the capacity to think creatively or to think abstractly. So they're just like, well, we're going to do it ourselves. So I do think though, I think it was a bit of an exaggeration when I said that. I don't think that there are models and stuff. Obviously, I'm being a bit facetious, but
no, cool.
I do think that there are some sort of models.
I just don't think that they're using the right models that suits South Africa's needs, as per se.
Absolutely. So they basically probably copied the UK models in my mind, which is completely wrong. I mean, you can't do that because of variations in age, variations in climate, variations in geography, variations in a whole bunch of stuff. So you just can't. And I think that that's what they did. I think they used another country's models. Okay. And I get very, very suspicious. And I asked this from the beginning of the lockdown. I said, I want to see those models. Okay. Not that I would really know how to read models and how to do all of this sort of stuff. I'm not qualified to do it. But basically what I'm saying is, I'm a citizen. I should need to know what the proof is behind my jail sentence. You know what I mean? Because right now I'm serving a jail sentence. You're serving a jail sentence. Every South African is serving a jail sentence, but we don't know why. We don't. Obviously, we know why because of COVID-19 and stuff, but we don't know why we're being held hostage and held in our houses. We just don't know.
What's even scary is that you get in a criminal record. Just like that,
you mean if you get arrested?
Yeah, if you get arrested, and you just get labelled and you got a criminal record. There was a podcast. It was a podcast with Ronaldo not so long ago. Not Ronaldo, Ramon. We did an interview with a guy that lives in Dwarskamp. I don't know, something like that.
Yes,
the coast
the guy
of
on
Cape.
the beach. Yeah,
the guy on the beach, and he was just walking on the beach, and I suppose, the curfew time was what is the curfew time? It's 6 to 9, eh? So it probably was after that, and he got arrested, just like that, and now he's got a criminal record. which
Yeah,
I
so
think is lank unfair.
The thing with that situation is that, you know, the people of the village use the beach as a road, and
Yes, that's what he said. Yeah,
and you know, for some weird reason, this government has basically outlawed beaches because, you know, a virus spreads faster on sand or some weird stuff,
Yeah.
because they just don't. They're just doing a whole bunch of rubbish. So they're trying to push the boundaries. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to see how far they can get with what sort of stupid rules they can try and push.
Of course, and with the help of the NDR, of course.
Yeah, interestingly enough,
they're there in the backlight.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Jason, I think that what we're going to see after this lockdown is we're going to see people taking a conscious interest in researching the NDR and all of that. I've made it my duty to educate people on exactly what the NDR is and how it started, and you know, where the ANC gets its motivation from and its ideology from, and the where the ANC gets its motivation and ideology from is 100% communism, which in my mind is pure evil.
That's pure
so
evil,
if you want to, if you are okay with a government that supports or that loves countries like the Soviet Union and, you know, communist China and all these other countries, if you want to support that, then I'm sorry, you're supporting evil. 100% pure evil.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah, no, end of story. Yeah. Check, coming back to what we said about the models, net. Look at Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden, there was an article that I read recently, and I'll maybe share the link, where they interviewed 11 people that lives in Sweden. Some of them are following the protocols and the regulations, and some are going drastically, you know, like your Karens out there. But then you would walk in the street, you would see coffee shops still open, people are still in gyms. The death rate, I should have checked it out. It's not that much as what the normal flu is, you know. And they live in normal.
It's in line with every other country with regards to percentage wise and stuff. Their death rate is absolutely 100% online. But you see what the difference is what the Swedish government did is the Swedish government said to its citizens, look, oaks, you know, social distancing, wash your hands.
Yes.
If you need to wear masks, wear masks. If you want to stay at home and you're scared that you're going to get sick and die, stay at home. The rest of you, be responsible individuals about it and go and do your thing.
As you would expect from a libertarian that will say, yes, this is my life, and let me run my life the way I want to.
Not only a libertarian, all right?
But this is all I've been hearing from people. They're saying, we're going to talk about it later, about cigarettes. They're saying, it's my life. Let me have a cigarette. If I'm killing myself, it's my choice. You know.
But where are all the leftists at this time? You know, screaming and shouting, "My body, my choice."
Yeah, you know? they're very quiet, eh? You're right. Absolutely. You're right. Absolutely.
My body, my choice. Okay, well, hello. It's my body, my choice. If I want to get sick and die, you know, I should be allowed to.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, of course. Well, Scott, what model do you think we should have taken? And I know we're not qualified with this. We're basically just generalizing. Yeah, we're just normal concerned citizens, like you said yourself. And me myself, we're concerned citizens. What model do you think we should have employed? Roughly, just rough off the top of your head.
No, that's fine. So essentially, look, I don't want to underplay the actual virus itself, okay? Yeah. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that say, oh no, it's nothing and all that. Look, the reality of it is that South Africa has a particularly young population. Okay, we do. Indeed, and it's quite clear that this virus is actually age specific. Okay.
Yes.
And that does play a part. There's various other factors and stuff that come into play, but yes, it is absolutely age specific. So that's something that we can't deny. So what model would I have used? Excuse me. I would have used the what we did in the beginning before the lockdown. So no gatherings of over 100 people, social distancing, wash your hands. If you want to, and you're in a building or whatever, wear a mask. These sort of things. Just to sort of prevent it,
To an extreme, we were doing it. Malls were doing it. They were implementing sanitizers at doors and that. Some people were starting to wear masks. But this is the thing. We lack that discipline. Trying to enforce people to tell them wear masks and sanitize your hands on a regular basis. I think this is why the government went to that extreme.
Yeah, and it's look, I personally, my personal belief is probably maximum, 25 to 40% of South Africans are actually adhering to the lockdown. I don't think that, many people are actually adhering to the lockdown or would have actually adhered to the lockdown in the first place. So I think the smart thing would have been to do the, what we did in the beginning, no gatherings of over 100, no sporting events, and that sort of thing. An important thing also to mention, Jason, is that I think when they implemented the lockdown, okay, and Cyril Ramaphosa gave his first speech, and all the "thank you, Mr. President" people were like frothing at there and like just sort of dizzy because they were so like in love with him and everything.
Bro, they were drunk on that power. Yes.
Yeah, they absolutely. They were.
There was a video. There was a video on Facebook too today, and I don't know if it was you or I think it was Sebastian. No, I can't remember now. But also the word Karen. Look at the Karens. The Karens all happy. President Ramaphosa, he was there, and people were taking photos and selfies, having their Karen moments.
So I think when that happened, Jason, I think that most of the country sat back and thought, I didn't really support the hard lockdown from the beginning. Okay, I didn't. But I think that a lot of people sort of said, right, okay, there might be some sort of logic behind this. Okay, so the original idea behind the lockdown, or the initial 21-day lockdown, was in order to prepare the hospitals, to prepare the schools, to prepare to put in place plans of action or action plans and stuff.
Absolutely.
But and that was the model that everywhere in the world did. 21 days was the standard thing, probably because of the incubation period of the virus and all of that sort of stuff. But so 21 days is what they should have done, and then they should have, at the end of that 21 days, they should have gone back to the original, no gatherings of over 100 kind of thing.
Makes sense.
But they didn't. Okay, and like I never trusted the ANC when they did the lockdown. I knew there was something strange going on. And the moment that they extended it is the moment that I knew that this government is out for your blood. They want you dead. Like that's what.
Yeah. Well,
when they extended that lockdown, that's exactly what I knew.
Well, we all knew it. If you are followers like myself and you follow Ramon's Morning Shot and Renegade Report and Germ Welfare and Ronaldo, we knew that this was going to be the case. We knew it. Yeah. But
yeah. So I don't think that I don't think that many people took a sort of conscious, like they never sat back and looked back and said, "Oh, hang on a sec, something's not like, something doesn't seem right over here," So I think I think most of the country was behind the or was accepted the lockdown for the first 21 days. But as we're going along and as they keep extending it and stuff, then, things just start, people are like, hang on, nah, you can't pull the wool over our eyes that long.
No, of course, yeah. Scott, before we did the podcast, there was something that you wanted to speak to me about.
Oh yes, yes. So myself and my wife took my daughter 3-month-old daughter to the pediatrician on Friday. And I mean, it's just, I will say this, I've been to, and I've spoken with a few doctors and stuff during this lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And every single one of them, without fail, every single one of them has told me that the way that we're doing this lockdown is absolutely 100% wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
So a specifically interesting story with this pediatrician is that we went to see is he told us that in his hospital, the pediatrics ward is closed. It's completely closed. Okay. Why? Because kids are not, either they're not getting sick or parents are not bringing kids to the hospital because the parents are scared, you know.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So, but this guy told me, he said it is absolutely imperative for children, young children, so sort of, you know, newborn to like 6, 7, 8, 9, or whatever it is absolutely imperative that those kids get sick. Okay.
Yes.
Because if they don't get sick, they do not develop, their body doesn't develop an immune system or an immunity to certain conditions.
It's the same when we were children. If we didn't get measles and chickenpox, we would get it at a later stage. And that happened to me. I was 32 years old when I had chickenpox. Can you imagine?
God, that's actually quite dangerous, actually.
It was. And the doctor told me, I mean, you could die in that. So, but luckily I got treated and I got the right medication. But I'd never forget that experience. It was terrible. So you're absolutely right in what you were saying. And as a child, you should get it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So another thing that he told me is this particular pediatrician's wife is an infectious disease doctor. So, you know, she deals with, you know, infectious diseases. So viruses and bacterial infections and all these sort of things. Okay. And he said him and his wife sit and they watch the news at night and they literally just sort of face palm the whole time because everything that the government is saying, everything that the government is announcing makes no sense, okay, and is 100% lies about what they're telling you. Lies. Jason, like that picture, I don't know if you saw it on that I shared it on Facebook today of the Nelson Mandela municipality, Nelson Mandela Bay municipality. They shared a picture of a mass grave, and it says, "Don't loiter, or you could end up like this."
Yeah,
and
I saw it. Yeah,
they
That's
should
crazy.
be ashamed of themselves.
That's crazy.
How can a government institution go out there and lie like that?
Yeah.
It's just, well, I know how. I mean, we all know how.
Yeah.
But you know, they ought to be ashamed of themselves, and you know, and people need to start calling this stuff out. And this is why I do these sort of things. This is why I speak up against this stuff. Is our government is deeply rooted in an evil ideology that wants to starve its citizenry, that wants to enslave its citizenry, and it wants to make every single citizen in this country equally poor.
Yeah, exactly. That's what socialism is. It's all about that. Yeah, flipping crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
My next question: was there anything else you wanted to add on the models? That's fine. Eh?
No, that's it.
Police arrests, are they lawful according to the Constitution or according to this Disaster Act? Because I mean, we've seen some pretty nasty stuff. And I think Monday, there was a video that was surfaced. It was Monday, that Polito incident.
Yes.
Yeah, and how the police were handling that child.
You know, Jason, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you, this lockdown is in my opinion, I mean, I'm not a constitutional lawyer or any figure of authority on this. It's just
we should ask Martin van Staden that.
Martin would know.
Yeah,
would definitely know.
I had him on my podcast. He knows the Constitution fully. He's the right man. Yeah.
Right, but he would know. But I'm pretty sure that he would agree with me that the lockdown in itself is is unconstitutional. Okay, for example, like myself, I'm a I'm a devout Christian,
Yes.
and on Sundays, my wife and me look forward to going to church. I mean, it's something that a lot of Christians enjoy, and but obviously now we have to sort of watch a live stream of church and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, there's a constitutional right of assembly. Okay. Besides, I mean, the religious freedom and stuff, that's obviously there as well, and that's also something that's important. But we also have the freedom of assembly, which means that we have the freedom to peacefully assemble. Okay. As far as I know, it's even this government is so communist and stuff, but they even say that everyone has the freedom or the right to assemble, to peaceful assembly, and it says unarmed as well, as far as I know, as far as I remember, I think. But anyway, it says unarmed as well. I mean, it's just you can't be in the US like just rock up there with your AR-15 strapped and stuff like they do in the US. Unfortunately,
yeah.
But anyway, so back to my point. The lockdown, in my opinion, is 100% unlawful, and that's why this government is going to have a extremely hard time trying to settle court cases and stuff brought against them by the good men and women of our civil rights organizations and stuff. And to the listeners out there, I mean, if you are too scared to speak out, if you are afraid for your job, if you are afraid for all kinds of other stuff, and you don't really want to speak out, at least you can do as a concerned citizen is support these civil rights organizations, support oaks like AfriForum, support the Institute of Race Relations, support these guys because they're doing good work, a lot of good work. So I believe that AfriForum is going to be helping the beach guy and also the Belito guy, as far as I know.
Yeah, the guy that was on Ramon's podcast, that's right, yeah. And the Belito guy, yeah.
So
Gerry Nel, yeah.
So look, I personally believe it's unlawful. I don't think that you can bring up the Disaster Act and stuff, but it's not proven. It cannot be proven that we're actually in a disaster at the moment. The only actual, like a health disaster and stuff, the only disaster that we're actually steamrolling towards now is an economic disaster. Yeah, where the impact and the fallout that this will have on our economy is going to be absolutely catastrophic. Yeah. And the reality of it is that if us as a country, if we had a sort of a free market economy, then I would be pretty confident that we would be able to recover quite quickly. Okay. Yes. But we just don't. Okay. The government wants to control every aspect of business, every aspect of everything. It wants to control every aspect of yourself as well. Every aspect of your being and your life, the government wants to control.
Yeah, and the signs are there.
So I'll tell you a very interesting little theory that myself and my brother came up with. So 6 small businesses are closing on a daily basis in South Africa at the moment. Yes. Large companies are liquidating. Retrenchment letters are going out left, right, and center. People are losing their jobs.
SAP just threw away 25,000 liters of beer another day.
Yeah, SAP. Yeah, I mean, yes. If that didn't bring a tear to your eye, then I don't know.
It did,
but yeah. So all these companies are going bang. Okay, and even even large corporates and stuff are going to be struggling heavily after this. So here's my theory. My theory is that this government wants those businesses to fail, okay?
Yes.
So that those businesses can come and beg for money from the government,
Yes.
and then the government can end up just merely buying up a whole bunch of companies, and that way they end up nationalizing our entire economy.
Sounds legit. I can go with it, though. It makes sense.
That's my theory, and it's only the only reason why I suspect it and stuff is because I understand how the National Democratic Revolution works, and I understand that where it comes from, and other countries that have done similar things, and the ANC is very good at copying other countries. So
yeah, well, but you just can't copy
does
everything.
that answer the question? Sorry, I
No, it
forgot
does.
what the question was.
No, the question was the brutality on the police in it. Was it?
Oh yeah, okay. So
is it lawful? I mean, but yeah, what you said is 100%.
Not.
Yeah,
it's definitely not lawful. The police brutality and stuff is just obscene. And the cops that
Flipper makes my blood boil. Shit.
Ought to be ashamed of themselves. I mean, that guy in Sea Point here in Cape Town, who was feeding the homeless guys, and that cop came and harassed him and all of that. I mean, here's the thing, we're all adults over here. I don't need to be yelled at if I know that I'm doing something wrong. I don't need to be abused or forced or anything. Just come to me and say to me, listen, bro, stop it. You're doing something wrong. Just stop it. End of story. And we're all adults over here. We can deal with this, and just, there's no need for cops to come in and start grabbing oaks and, stealing or kidnapping children, and that
yeah, it's like we're in kindergarten, bro. It's like we're in creche, They got to pull us by the hair, and it's crazy. We're not we're not in primary school anymore. We're adults here, but we've been treated like children now, basically.
Exactly, yeah, it's exactly that, yeah.
Flipping crazy, man. Okay,
but yeah, there are gonna be a lot of issues and stuff with regards to that. With regards to the police and all of that.
It seems like now with all those prisoners that they released, it's like they're making space for all the new prisoners that they're arresting unlawfully.
Yeah, it is that, and then it will be they will be sort of making room for other sort of various political dissidents and that sort of thing, because in a communist government you cannot speak poorly of a government or anything. I remember hearing it. I think it was on a podcast, maybe a South African podcast or somewhere. I don't remember. Or maybe it was Roman that said it and stuff. And it's a way to gauge how free you are is if you can speak up against anything and everyone.
Yeah,
that's how you gauge if you're actually free. And clearly we can't do that. So
yeah. Well, that's exactly that's my last question, but I think I want to squeeze this question in before I do the third one. The fourth question was your thoughts on George Orwell, his book 1984. It's exactly what we were talking about here.
Yeah, I think. Look. I think it's important to understand. I think it's important for people. Look, I haven't read 1984. I know about George Orwell and stuff, but I'm not too clued up on that sort of thing. But I think one thing that I do know pretty well is the effects of Marxism, and that's pretty much what we are experiencing now. Jason, have you seen or heard of the book People's War by Anthony
Jeffrey? I didn't read the book, but I did watch the documentary that Ernest Roots directed. It's more or less similar to the People's War. Tainted Era? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Tainted
essentially, this government is so deeply rooted in Marxism, and basically what Marxism does is it takes everything that is I guess this is a relative term and stuff, but it takes everything that is wholesome and healthy for a nation and turns it completely upside down. So, for example, things like marriage. Marriage is very, very healthy for a country. So, I mean, by marriage, I don't mean like people getting married. I mean people staying married, because that's what marriage is about,
Hundreds.
And it's in this country, it's so easy to get a divorce, and it's almost promoted, getting divorces and all that sort of thing. And one of the most important things, because sorry, I'm rambling a bit over here,
no,
but there is some logic behind what I'm saying.
No, go ahead, Brooke, go ahead.
So a family is the smallest form of a government. Okay, you have the father at the head and the mother after that, and then you have the children.
Yeah.
So and that model needs to now expand to your community and then your greater society at large. Okay, it has to expand to there, but it can't do that if the family is fractured and if parents are split up and stuff, because what does that do? It makes the children and everything reliant on the state.
Yeah.
And I think, and the reason why I'm saying this is that the ANC government is so good at implementing Marxism that our country and its citizens would literally allow the ANC to do whatever they want, because the ANC is these people's daddy, like their big daddy kind of thing,
Well, the George Orwell's book, it's Big Brother. Big Brother's watching you, and who would have thought years later Big Brother became a reality show?
Yeah, so it's that. That's the gist of it. Okay, so, but I do think all of these things, like the lockdown and stuff, I do think a lot of it is motivated by fear.
Yeah,
I think people are absolutely petrified of this virus. I mean, I've had interactions with people where they say things like, I'll stay indoors for a year if I have to, or rubbish like, how can you even think of going outside? You know that you can die. And I'm like, look, I can die. My chances of dying in a car accident are higher than my chances of dying from this COVID virus.
Of course.
So I'll take my chances. What are we supposed to just remain indoors for the rest of our lives and just not interact with anyone and just be so scared and stuff? It's just silly. It's just.
But this is the brainwashing process that's happening here.
Yeah. Fear is a. There's two things that drive the human psyche. Okay, that's and one of them is fear, and the other one is sex. Okay, so those are two of the most powerful drivers when it comes to the human psyche and how we think. And if you're able to control those two things in a Marxist society, you control the narrative, you control people. So if you're able to control fear and you're able to control sex, then you are. That's why I'm so vehemently against pornography and all of that sort of stuff, because of the sexual revolution. But that's for another podcast.
But I always say,
but does that answer the question? I think
it does. No, it does. It does. But I was going to say, fear is a good thing. Fear tells you when to stop, and this is something that's been stripped away from most criminals, and that they've lost that ability to be afraid for anything. And it seems like the government is trying to do exactly that, bring back that fear. And this is why we're seeing this police brutality and the army pushing people and hitting them and that.
Yeah, there's good and there's bad fear. That's the reality. There's good and there's bad fear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My last question: the black market. who is it benefiting? Who exactly? Like cigarettes, for example. Jeez, like, bro, are you a smoker? I saw you had a lighter in your hand. Huh?
Oh no! This is for lighting my briar room. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
smoke, no.
Okay, I'm a smoker, but
I'll have a cigar. I have a cigar every now and then, but I'm not a smoker. No.
yeah. But the
I
black
used to
market.
smoke. I smoked my whole life, pretty much. I started smoking when I was 11 or something, and I quit a few years back.
I can at work. I will not smoke, but when I'm at home after supper, I would like to have a cigarette. You know, and of course weekends when you have a braai, yeah, then
Yeah, I mean there is.
Yeah.
I'll admit there is nothing much better than a beer, a braai, and a cigarette.
Of course, yeah, nothing better than that. Yeah. But now the black market has just taken keen to this, and you have to pay 600 rand, 800 rand a packet of cotton, and of course there's people out there that can afford it, but there's many out there that can't afford it, and so who's benefiting here exactly?
Yeah, look, I totally 100%, and I think I mentioned this to you. I would 100% support the smaller guys that are brave enough.
Yeah.
Still carry on.
I put that post on Facebook here about people saying that the locals, he's not going to support the locals and that. And I said, no, I would still support the local because it's not his fault. It's not his fault why he's selling the cigarettes at that price, because of the demand. And I understand that concept of the demand theory, that when something becomes scarce, that the prices go up.
You see, this is the thing also, is that, another constitutional or civil right of ours is, and it's so bizarre. I don't know how people forgot that they have civil rights. But people's political acumen in this country is absolutely, it's ridiculous. But anyway, so another civil right for us is the right to work. Okay, so you take that right away, and obviously people are going to get desperate, and people are going to go and do these things. These are people that don't necessarily live month to month and that sort of thing. These are people that live day to day, and that
hand to mouth.
The bread that they have on the table today, it gets regenerated the next day when they earn more money. It's not like excuse me, it's not like I'm sort of like a middle class guy and all that, so I'll be fine, but these guys won't.
No.
So what happens is these guys then get sort of desperate, and they say, you know what, bugger it, I'm just going to go ahead and sell cigarettes, but I am taking a massive risk because I could get locked up and all of that sort of jazz. So they say, right, this is what my risk is. This is and the consumer that wants the product, I'm going to charge them more. Okay,
like a danger pay.
Fine. I have no problem. Yeah, danger pay. I have
like
no
a danger
pay. I have absolutely no problem with it. What I do have a problem with, well, actually, I applaud the small guy, because they actually have the guts to stand up against government and say, you know what, bugger you oaks, we're just going to go ahead and sell cigarettes and
amen to that. Yeah.
What I do have a problem with is the South African large corporates and how absolutely weak they are. And these are the guys with the big money that could actually do something. That could actually say, you know what, government, enough's enough. This is it. This shit needs to end. And that's it. But they don't. Mostly because, again, fear. They're controlled by the government because of fear, because they know that the government can literally make them disappear in with a swipe of a pen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they don't have the resilience. They don't have the guts to sacrifice their way of living, their 1 2 million rand a year income and all that. They don't have the guts to do that, because they're scared. But what they don't realize is that not having the guts to do these sort of things is a quick fix. Okay. So it'll save your ass now. But believe me, going to come back and bite you one day. Okay.
No, it has.
That's the thing that these big corporates need to understand. Okay. I saw on Ramon's podcast or Ramon's channel that I think it was the CEO of Mr. Price or one of those places talking about saying, we need to applaud Ibrahim Patel for his amazing efforts and all that. And I'm like, this is the same guy that banned e-commerce, banned it. Okay. And then comes and says, and when they allow it again, comes and says, well, e-commerce was amazing, and this is what we needed to defeat this COVID thing. And I'm like, people are actually eating this stuff up. People are actually believing this sort of thing. You know, Jason, when we have people like Ibrahim Patel, who is a absolute dedicated to the core communist, okay, and then we have Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, okay, who's
when people
claim
make
to
zol,
fame, when people zol, but her only claim is that she's she's Jacob Zuma's ex-wife, and that's it. And we've got this woman in one of the highest seats in the country, and people are okay with this. That is the scariest part.
Well, the public seems to see it as when Ramaphosa says something, and then she will come on and then say, hold on, I will review it tomorrow. So a lot of people are saying that she's overstepping
Pulling the
Ramaphosa.
strings,
Yeah, she's pulling the strings.
Yeah, she is. Something that also annoyed me, Jason, and I wonder if you can just give me the grace to say this in your show and stuff. But something that really annoyed me was now, obviously, I mean, I say this a lot. I'm a Christian. And something that really annoyed me was the amount of weak Christians in this country that just sort of like buckle down and they're like, because there's a verse in the Bible, Romans 13, okay, which basically says that you should submit to government and all of that. But they are, if you read and you understand the verse, basically what it is you need to submit to the government, but that government needs to be doing God's work in order for you to submit to it.
Of course.
So they need to be a God-fearing government in order to do that.
Yeah.
Which clearly the ANC is not. So us as Christians are actually ordered by God to disobey the government. And I just and finally now, after day 50 something billion of lockdown that we've all lost track of what day it is, okay?
Yeah. Day 53.
Now finally we're getting Christian pastors and leaders and stuff that are finally saying, well, hang on, guys, I don't think this government is really doing God's work. So it's time that we speak up against them. Listen, what I tell to those pastors, listen, pastor, the ANC has never done God's work. Never.
Of course, yes.
So that's
we all can
this
agree
is
with
the
that,
reality.
Yeah,
This
of
is the
course.
reality. That's what. Sorry, I get fired up with this sort of thing.
No, it's all right. Eh? I think that's why I wanted you on this podcast, because I saw you were fired up. Eh? I wanted somebody that can fire up things a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's concerning. I think I'm actually. I mean, we've never met each other in person and stuff, Jason.
No,
but if we ever do, if you ever find yourself in Cape Town, or I find myself up in.
Well, I've got family in Cape Town. I need to.
Is it?
Yeah, and I haven't seen my boot for a long time now. He lives in Brackenfell, so I need to come down. I must. But financially now at the moment, things are not looking good for us all.
Exactly.
Understandable, yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever find yourself in Cape Town, you'll and we meet up and you come over to my house and we make a braai and that sort of thing. I'm really a positive oak. I'm really a good guy. I like a good laugh. I have a good sense of humor and all this sort of thing. But I have a 3-month-old daughter, and I have a wife who happens to be foreign.
Yeah.
And I worry about them. You know, that's my duty is to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
So it's that gets me fired up, because I know that you can do anything that you want to me. You can do whatever you want to me. You can swear at me. You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
punch me. You can stab me. You can kill me. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
But you will not set foot and touch a single hair on my daughter or on my
Absolutely.
wife.
Yeah. No, of
That
course.
is how it is. Okay. And I get fired up because this government wants to control my wife and my daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. I will not let that happen.
Yeah. Well,
And that's why I get so fired up.
well, here's the thing. I've been a member, or a fan, or you can call it, but I've been on ZACP for a year now. I think we both have. And I spoke to a lot of people, and and the questions they ask me is, do you have a gun in your house? And my answer to them is straight. And I said, no, I don't. Why do I need a gun in my house when I've got God in my life? I mean, every night I go, when I close my eyes and that, and I say, God, protect my house, protect my family, protect my workplace and that. So I don't need a gun. I've never have, and I don't. I still believe I don't need a gun. I won't.
Yeah, look, I mean, I would prefer to be armed and stuff. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, of course.
I am, yeah. So guns are very important to me.
It's just in my working environment too. If I have to carry a gun on me, okay, which is the security environment, I don't want to carry a gun, because then you're more of a threat to yourself. Because the thief will know that you got a gun, and he will make some type of plan to take that gun off you.
Yes.
And then
yes. So
you get shot with your own gun. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So having a gun can kind of make you a target. Does very often make you a target. But you know, guns and stuff, I support the people's right to have them.
Yes, of course. I support it too. There's nothing wrong with it. You can have a gun, but I just feel I don't need to carry a gun.
Yeah. My views on guns and stuff are very very liberal. I believe that people should be able to own guns and stuff. So I believe in the freedom of the right to bear arms and all that, which unfortunately our government is not too keen on. But but the thing is you know, a lot of people, back to my point of why I was telling you that I'm a positive guy who likes to crack jokes and that sort of thing, is many people view my temperament as negative, and it's really not. I'm not a negative guy. Okay, I don't fear for the future because, like you say, you know, Christ walks with me, so I've got nothing to fear. Okay,
Hundreds.
I don't fear the future. I worry about it and I'm concerned about it. So, and I need to do something about it, because God commanded me that if there's people doing evil work, you need to act against it. I'm not saying I need to go out there and you know, start chopping people up and shooting people and that sort of thing. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I am saying is that sorry, there we go. Is that sorry, but I just want to look up something over here quickly.
Yeah, that's all right.
What I'm saying is that I cannot sit by and let bad things happen. You know, there's a great Bible verse called Ephesians 6 verse 10 to 18. I don't know if you remember this, Jason. How old are you? But
45.
40. Okay, so you would remember this.
Yeah, I'm 45. Yeah.
You would remember this. Did you grow up? Did you grow up in a Christian household, or?
I did. My mom was a strong Christian. We used to go to the Church of England, and then Methodist.
Anglican and then Methodist, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. So you would maybe, I don't know, maybe remember these toys that were around, which was the they had it was like a helmet, a chest plate, a sword and stuff, and it was basically about the armor of God.
Yeah, the knight in shining armor. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So the Ephesians 6 verse 10 to 18. Do you mind if I just sort of read it real quickly?
Hundreds,
if that's
my bro.
okay?
Go ahead, read it.
So it says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Now, this is very important. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers and principalities, against authorities and against powers of powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. So essentially, basically what it means is, we need to speak up against evil. It's
Yes.
a command. Don't be scared. Put on the armor of God and speak up against evil. And that's why I do these things. That's why I'm passionate about it.
Yeah. That's the same my mom used to always use when she walks, because my mom did a lot of walking around, and I always tell my mom, why do you go through that town? It's dangerous. And she says, you know what? I just put the God's armor on me and I walk. That's how much faith
Absolutely.
my mom has got. And she'll go to town and she'll come out.
Is she still alive? Huh?
Still, yeah, my mom's still alive. Yeah, she's in like a retirement village in Peru. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so she's in Peru.
Yeah,
on this side.
she's that side. Yeah, in Peru. Yeah.
Okay. So your mom's a praying mother.
Yes, definitely, fully.
It's the greatest blessing ever is having a praying mother. It's what brought me back to God. I was a raging atheist in my 20s.
Yeah.
But my praying mother brought me back to God.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. And it's just weird with all the people that we're on the groups at the moment, how they would diss us and that. But it's all right. I'm used to it, Let them have their say in that. The libertarians and that's how they speak.
Listen, Jason, if you're not called a religious zealot at least once a day, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Anyway,
was there another question?
That's it. No, I think it was an excellent podcast. It was excellent. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
No, absolutely. There is I am going to be sorry. So you mind if I just sort of plug my show?
Of course, I'm gonna plug it in. I've done it before and I'll do it again. I'll plug your link in.
Excellent. So
reactionary opinions.
Yeah. So Reactionary Opinions is our YouTube channel, and we were on a hiatus, quite a long hiatus, because myself and Dylan D-Dog just became fathers fairly recently. So it's a bit testing and all of that, and we wanted to dedicate more time to our family and stuff. And now that my daughter's starting to sleep a little bit more and all of that, we can get back to doing podcasting and stuff. So
I dig Dylan's every day he had like a guitar session. That man can rock that guitar. Whoa!
Yeah, he's good.
He rocks it.
He's good. He's not quite Aaron's roots yet, but he's good.
You know what I was thinking. This was just something. I don't know if Aaron's roots will do it. I was thinking to have like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a doof. So Aaron's will play a tune, and then Dylan will play a tune. And then let the people. I don't know.
Like a duel.
Like a duel. Yeah, it was just something that came up, and I thought to myself, yes, check out this man's playing guitar. Shit, it was awesome. Yeah.
So what I want to do, Jason, if I can also mention this as well, is we're in the process. It's still early, very early days, but we're in the process of actually speaking about, because here's the thing is, so what happens after COVID? Like, what happens after this lockdown ends? Okay, yeah. What are we going to do now? Okay, so the reality of it is that the ANC has now exposed themselves as they just want total and utter authoritarianism. Okay.
Yep. Drunk on all that power. Yep.
Yeah, they have an absolute raging hard-on for power. And I mean, if you see Becky Cele, you'll like how he is. He is like forgive my language and stuff, but it looks like he's about to come in his pants every time you see him, you know.
I
So
agree.
anyway, so my thing is, you know, what happens after lockdown and stuff? Because we're in this situation now. Okay, the guys are fighting this in court and all that sort of thing, and it will come to an end. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens after that? What do we do as concerned citizens? How do we now become activists against the ANC and stuff? Okay.
That's just it. It's up to us. But
Yeah.
will we get the
So
support? This is the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, my idea, okay, this is my idea, okay, and I have, you know, fairly good friends and stuff that can help out with this, and I'd like to get, you know, guys like Ernst Roots and stuff involved in it as well, is my idea, and I don't know if it's unique to me, someone might have a similar idea out there as well, or there might even be something in process at the moment, but my idea is a freedom convention, okay, so some sort of, you know, 2 or 3 day conference where we discuss plans for freedom and stuff, and it's an actual convention. So, you know, the ZACP can go there and have a little stand there and do a talk, and you know, there can be various organizations
we'll
like the
get Christoph.
IRR.
We'll get Christoph to go there. Christoph can do that. Yeah, you'll be great.
Yeah,
at that.
the IRR, the couple of other organizations that can get involved in this and do a freedom convention. And then what we need to start doing is, and myself and Russell are actually, you know, we're thinking about doing this and stuff, is renting out town halls.
Yeah.
And just having a town hall, you know, chinwag, you know.
Of course.
You know, get there. We can have a speaker, say, for example, Jack Miller from the Cape Party can come and talk there, and all of this. And then we need to get this moving now, guys. We need to get this done, because, you know, if we don't, we're going to wake up and it's going to be
what I'm scared of is what we're going to have. What happened in 1929? You know, the Great Depression. Are we heading that way? That is scary.
Yeah, look, if we are heading that way, and there's, you know, it's going to be the next, you know, 10 years or something are going to be rough. Okay. But the reality of it is that even during the Great Depression, things didn't stand still, you know, like just because people are poor doesn't mean they can't do anything, you know.
But to what you just said there now of having these little meetings, and that's exactly it. And that's what probably never happened in 1929.
Yeah,
people
exactly.
just sitting in the street corners and they were negative. Yeah.
You know, the world doesn't, just because people are poor doesn't mean people can't, you know, do things. Like, for example, I mean, I grew up relatively poor. Okay. And, you know, I grew up in a small town in the Eastern Cape, and what Cape Town standards would be considered poor.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't, you know, we never had a lot of money and stuff and all of that. But, you know, I've been poor before. I can be poor again. You know, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to stop. It's not going to kill my spirit, you know, if I'm poor. You know what I mean? So just because I'm poor and I've got no money and stuff doesn't mean that I'm not going to stop speaking out and speaking the truth and all that sort of thing. Because there's guys like you out there. There's guys like Christoph. There's guys like Russell Lamberti. There's guys like Roman Kabanik. There's guys like Big Daddy Liberty. There's guys like, you know, the list goes on and on and on out there in what we call it, what us at Reactionary Opinions call the truth community. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a group of people that are out there speaking the truth. Okay. And all we need is for people to listen. That's it.
True.
Okay. And that's how we go about changing hearts and minds. And I'm passionate about that, and I'm pretty confident that it can be done.
Of course, yes. If you put your mind to it, of course it can be done, yeah. But again, you just need that right support. If we don't have that support, and then you're going to have people out there that are going to stop you. They are going to definitely try and stop you and pump fear into you. And that's where you've got to be strong and push back and say, this needs to be done. How else are we going to get this economy back on its feet again?
Yeah. Well, rhetoric is actually quite easy to get over. You know, generally Marxist rhetoric and stuff is hollow and empty and stuff. And if you are actually honest, you'll see right through it. So that's what we just need to do, is appeal to people's honesty. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, hundreds. Scott, my man, don't go. Let me just do my closing. Thank you. Thank you again for joining in. Like I said to my listeners, well, what Scott said, I will plug in the link to his channel. Thank you. Thank you. My podcast is available on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple, BitChute, and YouTube. Yeah, lekker. Cheers. Take it easy, guys. Ciao.